What's up, everybody? It's your girl Vonnie V. I'm back. I just wanted to come in and talk and vent and say hi. Look at my face, look at your face, hear your voice, hear my voice. It's a couple of things I've been thinking about even before 2020, but I wanna submit those ideas in 2020. But before we get started, I just want to say, don't forget, go and pick up my book, Blueprint for Abundance. It's at Amazon.com. Just search Vonnie Virgil or type in Blueprint for Abundance. The book will pop right up. Go and pick this up. You can get it a hard copy or you can get it on your Kindle, okay? One of the things that I was thinking about, in 2019, and I'm ready to go ahead and set that solid in motion in 2020. Hold on, Alexa, volume down, please. What I want to talk about are three things that I'm not doing in 2020. Like three patterns of behavior that I had in 2019 that I refuse to continue in 2020, just because from that year 2019 I just learned so much from those patterns of behavior that just was not working for me. Let's just go ahead and get started. Number one, the first thing I'm not doing in 2020, I'm not entertaining people who only contact me when they want something or when they need something. I mean, I don't know why I entertained this so much in 2019. I mean, all of this stuff goes back to childhood, obviously, but I would just expected myself to have been out of that pattern in 2019. But for some reason, I found myself still stuck in that pattern. I have at least two or three people in my life, in my phone, who don't have any idea that it bothers me when they only contact me when they need something. I'm talking about the people who they don't never check in and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? You need anything? How's your day? Is everything okay? What's been going on in your spirit? Like, these people don't have any connection with me whatsoever. Yet they feel comfortable enough to call me. Actually, nah, ain't nobody even calling. To text me when they have specifically a financial need. And me just being in my personality, I would entertain that because I tend to be a generous person, a giving person. And so I don't want to see nobody hurting. I don't want to see nobody, financially stressed out. But, we're at the point now where I have to use my limited resources in a much, much wiser way and not just kind of be giving them out to people who I don't share a connection with. All my resources, my money, my time, my energy, my heart, these words right now, I consider all of this stuff to be valuable. And so if people in your life are only contacting you when they want your value and they're not interested in a connection with you, in any intimacy with you, for me in 2020, that's over for me. That's out for me. That's just been holding me back. And honestly, it's not sitting comfortably with my spirit anymore in 2020. So I'm just about to nick say that. Now, obviously, there are a couple of caveats to this, right? Like if you have a parent, a sibling, a partner, somebody who's in like an emergency situation of need. I'm not saying, don't help those people, but those people will most likely be people who have strong connections with you, close connections with you, and they're not likely to just be calling you only when they have a need. Obviously, I would respond to emergencies, but you gotta be careful about what somebody considers an emergency. Somebody not being able to put gas in their car, I mean, that's not no emergency to me. I mean, they might that might be an emergency in their mind at that moment, but that's not my emergency. That's not an emergency to me. That's why God created credit cards and mamas and daddies and best friends, and if I ain't one of them people to you, then that's not an emergency for me. That's all I'm saying. So the number one thing I'm going into with 2020, I am no longer tolerating people who only contact me when they need something. Number two, oh my goodness. I mean, look, I've been learning this since I was a kid in church. Even the Bible say, let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. In 2020, what I'm taking in with me is like, seriously, I'm doubling down on this. My yes is going to be my yes. My no is going to be my no. What I mean by this is I found myself a lot in 2019. Someone would ask me for something, or someone would create a demand or a requirement of me for something. And I'm exercising my no muscle. I'm flexing that, right? So I say yes when it's comfortable and necessary for me to say yes. And I say no if it's just really going against how I feel about it. So what I found myself doing when I'm exercising my no in 2019 was that people wanted me to have to explain myself. Why you saying no? That reason that you got, that ain't really good enough for you to be saying no. What I found myself doing was explaining, number one, explaining my yes or explaining my no. And number two, trying to prove why my yes or my no is what it is. And I'm like, I literally got to the end of the year and I was like, why am I doing that? All people want to hear is yes. Even if you got the best explanation for a no, even if you got great proof for a no, people just want to hear a yes. That's just flesh. That's just human nature. And I found myself doing that. And I would say I would give my no, and I would feel guilty about giving my no, and like for like a whole day or two be wondering like, man, how can I had to process through my own heart and soul. I had to process my no because I felt like maybe I didn't explain my no well enough, or maybe I didn't prove my no well enough. And I'm like, man, no, man, look, in 2020, negative. If I give you a yes or if I give you a no, that's what it is. I'm not explaining nothing. I ain't proving myself. We done with that. And I encourage everyone to kind of get firm on that. That problem only came up when I decided coming out of 2018, I decided that I was going to start saying no more to things that I just didn't really want to do. I also had the problem in the past of committing myself to things that I didn't want to really be involved in. And so my remedy for that in 2019 was to be like, you know what I'm saying? Look, I'm going to say no if I don't want to do it. And so I did that. I committed to that. I was successful at that. I was saying no. And then what I found myself in is the pattern of having to explain my no and having to prove my no. No, we're not doing that no more. 2020, just like the Bible said, my no is my no, my yes is my yes. Anything more than that is of the devil. Let's move on. Number 3. Okay. Again, trying to empower myself more in 2019, I decided that I was going to be more honest about how I felt about things. And I really wanted to be careful not to get into this brutally honest zone. Like, I'm not trying to be hurting people's feelings and just be needlessly harmful. I mean, listen, God don't like ugly. And I think something that is ugly about a personality is if someone just lacks empathy about how their words are affecting another person. So I'm careful to not be trying to just hurt people. If I can soften something down or use some honey instead of some vinegar, I'm gonna do that. But what I found was that in my attempt to try to empower myself to be more honest, I found myself just kind of reacting to things. So, for example, if I was experiencing some negativity at work with a boss or with a coworker, I would just kind of react with my power. Like, I'm saying, no, I don't think that's correct, and this is why. Or no, I don't think that's fair, and this is why. And what I learned from that type of pattern is that it's not always, it's different in every situation. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always come off the exact way I wanted it to in every situation. I wanted it to come off like, listen, I'm a reasonable person. I've considered what you said. This is my response. I know that it's contrary to what you wanted, but I think that this is right. That's how I wanted my reactions to be perceived. But how I found them to be perceived is just kind of like off the cuff, not really well thought out. not really well processed. And so the number 3 thing I'm doing so far in 2020 is I'm going to do less reacting and more processing, right? So that takes time. Listen, everybody know, let me give me a sip. Everybody know when you in a heated conversation, you ain't even got to be in a heated conversation. When you're in a conversation, most of us are reacting to what we're hearing or reacting to what we're seeing rather than taking in the information, letting it filter through all types of crap, homie. Like, listen, we got self-defense mechanisms in our minds. We got misperceptions. We have all types of issues that stuff got to get filtered through. That information got to get filtered through before we should be giving responses. And so I just realized that about myself. Like, instead of just, hey, that don't feel right to me. I don't like it. I ain't doing it. I'm doing it like this. My new reaction is going to be, okay, I heard that. Right now, it feels a little bit contrary to how I feel. But I want to think about this. I want to filter this. And I want to, especially if I'm feeling negative about something. Like, if I get some information that instantly hit me in a negative way, it instantly bothers me, it instantly hurts me. And honestly, even if it's a positive reaction, because, okay, I'm going to stay on task. If I get some information that feels negative or positive, my commitment in 2020 is to process it before I respond to it. Process it before I react to it. Filter it through the negative feelings that I have. Filter it through any misperceptions that I may have had. Filter it through some prayer. Filter it through some counsel if necessary. And just let it digest before I come off the cuff with a decision or with a reaction. I just found that processing things works better. I spent a lot of time at the end of 2019 processing things, and what I found is that sometimes it took me days, weeks even, to process something that hit my flesh, hit my soul, hit my spirit, especially in a negative way. If something really affected me negatively, like if it made me stress or if it made me worry or if it made me afraid, it would take me sometimes days or even a couple of weeks to really just get that filtered through my soul and get to a point where, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I can see this clearly now. And now I can make an effective decision about how to respond to this. I mean, the only way to make that days or weeks time frame shorter is to just practice. Like, I have to practice processing. So the number 3 thing I'm doing in 2020 is I'm going to practice processing more and reacting less. That's just going to have to take time. Listen, everybody who know me, I'm letting you know right now. If we talking about something and it hit me in a strong negative or a strong positive and I feel like I need to process it, I'm going to just let you know. Hey, I hear that. It's making me feel some type of way. Let me sit on this. Let me process this. Give me a couple days. Give me a few days to get back to you about this, because I really want to respond to things with wisdom, with prudence, with diligence. I want to be excellent in my relationships. And I want to be excellent, especially in my own personal relationship. I want to be able to go to bed at night like, yo, I handled that properly. I handled that like a grown-up. I handled that like a beast. I handled that like a professional. I handled that like a great mom. I handled that with excellence. And so those 3 things that I said, just not entertaining people who just filling up my space with needs and requirements, that's out. Number 2, my yes gonna be my yes, my no gonna be my no. I feel like that's just mature. Like, come on, I ain't got nothing to prove no more. Especially to the people who are in my life and who know me. And listen, you know what you got right now. You know I'm reliable. You know I'm trustworthy. You know I got flaws. You know these flaws. You know what I'm saying? Let the yes be the yes and the no be the no. And just the extra energy of trying to prove something, I'm done with that. Extra done. And number 3, doing more processing and less reacting. Those are the top three things that I'm going into 2020. That's what we doing. That's how we operating. We not tolerating people who only just calling us, contacting us when they want something. We're not explaining or proving ourselves to anybody anymore. We say something, that's what it is. I don't we don't have to be rude about this. I'm not trying to be rude. I already answered that. I already said no to that. Thank you for asking, but I already said no to that. I already said yes about this. So thank you for asking, but I already said yes about this. If my reasons are personal, they're personal. Now, if we're in a close relationship, I might take the extra step to explain. But if I feel like you're just committed to misunderstanding, then, my yes is my yes and my no is my no. And number 3, let's process first. Let's do a lot more process. And don't be afraid to tell somebody, listen, I feel some type of way about that. And I really want to get this right, with you. I really want to get this topic, this conversation right. Let me think about this. Let me process this for a few days. Let me talk to God about this. Let me talk to my mama about this. And then I get back to you, okay? All right, I just wanted to share that because that was on my heart. It was on my heart last year, and I just feel solid about it this year, 2020. Listen, like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Share it if you want to share it. Don't forget about Blueprint for Abundance. I'm telling you, this is a great book. I mean, if I can say so myself, I wrote it. And a lot of people read it, and they agreed. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you listening. Give me some feedback. What's your top 3 things that you doing this year that you just decided on fully? You was working on it in 2019 maybe. And now in 2020, you like, yeah, that's definitely something I need to stick with solid in 2020. Let me know. I'm open to all the wisdom I could get. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, I appreciate you listening. Y'all have a good night. Peace.